Maybe we'll put on the, what is it? I can't tell you, because Warhammer, I follow Warhammer TV. Or Warhammer. Live coach since San Diego US Open. That's what's this weekend.
to my stream. Finally! Yes! I finally... Damn! Hello, Pete! Exactly the right sound for my announcement that I am finally online again. And of course, hydrate! Cheers!
Hydrate?
Ooh.
But all I have is coffee.
Hot coffee. Oh. Good. How is everybody? Thank you very much, Pete. Wow. And hello. Oh, no, I always get a little bit embarrassed. Tie-in, TX. I have seen you before, I know, but I hope Ty is good enough. Welcome. And as you can see, I am painting up some worms on this, I must say, quite hot Dutch evening. At least it's perfect. Good. And I am, of course, a little bit off screen. Hey, and there we have Muse's Touch. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, welcome. How is everybody? Whee! Thank you very much for the bits. Yes! I didn't miss that, but oh, that break was really good. Also for my alerts, because they are now finally working. Yay! I've been struggling for them for I don't know how long. And they are working. Took me a whole day to figure them all out. Didn't work all that time. Thank you very much. So, painting again. It's been almost a month, I guess. Oh, my voice is quite high, a little bit excited. As I was not doing very well, but I'm painting off screen. Wait a moment, let's do a little bit of the camera magic. There we are. Is he? Yes, he is. Anyway, I am back. Unfortunately, I had to cancel my Wednesday streams. That's a little bit of the, because I am learning a new job at the same factory I'm still working, but it's no longer production. I'm doing more logistics now. Unfortunately, I have to get up at 3 a.m. So it's a little bit, Wednesday nights is a little bit too late for me to stream. And what model am I painting? This is a worm from Blacklist Miniatures. They had a Kickstarter last year with a lot of great D&D NPCs, PCs, and D&D related minis. And Viking, hi, hello, thank you very much. Yes, this is one of the worms. Yeah, you know, and you also know the color scheme. I am trying to copy it. Well, you did use a little bit of another brown. But yes, this is one of the worms from Blacklist Miniatures. I have 4 of them, sorry, 5, as in the whole box, all the enemies, all the monsters, all the whatever you want to call them. You have 5 of them, so 5 skeletons, 5 undead knights, you name it, they have got it. So I have 5 worms. 1 worm was painted by Viking Pie, and he used this color scheme a little bit different brown, as I used the MSP brown. But I have some others prepared. This one I am going to make a grey worm, and that's really easy paint, and I will show you in a moment. Then I have painted 2 of them white, because I want to make a purple worm. And well, chat, you decide. Shall I make it a red fiery worm or a really poisonous green worm? And I'm always talking to chat, but I have to look at pro streamer, guys. I'm back. Yeah, well, Blacklist Miniatures, this was the Fantasy Miniatures 1. The polar worm. You're sitting in the train with the spotty internet, so have fun. Yeah, well, you too, then. It's it's good to be back. Well, you have watched Carol's stream, you have seen I have a completely new setup, but I finally have all my paints right in front of me. I had some paints over there, I had some paints over there, I had some paints under there. They are now all here. I even have some space left for a few new colors. Why? I don't know. Good. There is one saying a polar worm. Anybody else has other ideas? Oh, by the way, oh, that's one of the sets I've coming. US fulfillment was delayed. Yeah, oh yeah, Corona probably, yeah. And I also have, oh, I'm a little bit, usually go a little bit lower now. Yes, I rearranged it, so I have also lost my my target. So bear with me, please. I also have 2 troglodytes. If I have nothing to do in between painting. Yeah, that whole it's some really weird shit. That whole shipping stuff. One time it's Europe that it's very late, and another time it's the US. It's still a very strange situation worldwide. And I mean, I am still waiting on my red grass, my big red grass wet pellets. The small one is already delivered, and I believe we have already finished the whole delivery to almost everyone. But they couldn't get enough plastic to make the whole batch of the bigger ones. But they are in production now, so let's see. Meanwhile, I will have to do with my Game Envy one. Still works perfect. Well, if you haven't been painting for a month, for so far it is working perfectly. Good. Now I had 1 grey one. I'll change 1 white for this nice black one. Well, a grey worm, of course, is grey, or you can call it also a stone worm for but I would like a nice name for it if you want to name it something different. The nice thing about gray, if you are just dry brushing it over a black undercoat, you are almost done. Only to find the perfect color. As I am making a stone, let's call it a stone worm, I am using a mountain stone from Reaper. And if this is, by the way, that the fantasy, no, I have to, series 1, if that one is coming, oh man, I was really surprised because it was a small box and a big box. And I really had fun. Oh wow, the extra, the small box and all the extras, and the big box. No, the small box, that was the original Kickstarter, and the big box is even more fantastic. You're really going to have, as a mini painter, that box really great. I believe they also had. Are they still planning, or do they already have the Fantasy Series 2? They were planning on that. Well, you know what? Let's see. Internet. Blacklist. See if I can type it a little bit. But it's game found, blacklists, yay. I see I have some announcement. Blacklist game announces Fantasy Series 2 miniatures. Los Angeles, February, oh. That was in February 2021. Miniature games. Kickstarter for Blacklist games, new competitive, okay. Oh, the Lasting Tales, I have heard some, oh. Okay, I will read that a little bit more after the show. Have to do some work. But, to be honest, I hope it's already gone. That's a Kickstarter, because I just got my base boss basis Kickstarter and my Bones 6 Kickstarter. I've done them both. Well, the Bones 6 is a little bit like my Bones 4, just the core set and one expansion. I mean, Bones 5 was a little bit too much. Bones 5, 5.5 is still on the way, I believe. Yeah, the pledge manager for that one has already on screen. As I said, if you want to make a gray worm, use a black base coat. Dry brush it. This is, by the way, I found a few weeks ago, I found some old pots of Games Workshop paint, dry brush paint. Yes, they have special dry brush paint, or they call it very simply dry paint, dry. Yes, this stuff. Terminator Stone is a little bit of an earthy color. On black it looks a little bit like gray, but this is the more of the real color. I use that for just on the whole model and you can already see the details coming out. Yeah, I have found my older pots of dry paint, and yeah, besides the washes, this will probably be something that I will be buying from Games Workshop. All the other paints will be from Scale Color or Reaper. But as always, well, I mean, Games Workshop paints, they are still great, but also greatly expensive. I mean, I bought this Terminator stone. Ooh. When did I buy these? Long before Corona, and they were already €3.30. Okay, they are special paints. Well, no, I have the rubber. Oh, it's air coming in, and I see why. They have this nice little thingy at the end of the pot, so that the pot can stay open. Otherwise, but it is not supposed to be on this side of the lid. Now let's see. Yes, this is how it's supposed to be working. Now it was blocking the whole. Yeah, now it is closed. Good. That's on the Games Workshop pots. So these are quite old, and they were already quite expensive. I have no idea. I just bought these. These came in together with my new paint racks. And yeah, sorry guys, I'm a bit nosy. Now I want to know what I paid for them. Although I must say I bought these in a shop. So it is quite possible that these were a little bit the dry brush paint. How much do they sell? Oh god, no. Yes, they now go for $3.60 a pot. Luckily, you don't need very much of them, so you can use them a long time. And as you, I mean, these are then at least 3 years old. I only have one pot. This green one, Helium Green. Never used it. Well, a few times, but it's not really a color I can use with dry brushing. And that one is a little bit dried out. So I added a little bit of medium, stirred it quite vigorously. Not on my vortex shaker because it has no use, of course. Good. I can already know this is really a very, very thick paste. This one is a little bit, it's the long beard gray. So it's just not completely white. Let's see, this is more of the white. Now you can see the difference. And this is just for the highlights of this model. So especially here on top. I'm just going from top to bottom. And that is the main part of the whole model. Well, now it's quite dull, of course, so I am going to add some details to it. Let's get my brush cleaned up. Get this out of the way. Have a little bit of caffeine. Before I start with this one, Good. I will, this one is, yes. I will give this one a nice layer of Agrax Earthshade. Oh, that is it. The wash from Games Workshop, the brown wash. Let's find a nice big brush. Not a very old big brush. Don't use your very expensive brushes with, at least not on this method. If you are really going to use washes in certain points, of course you can use your little more expensive brushes, but I would always advise not to use your expensive brush, because the washes will get into the hairs at the end in the ferrule and can clog everything up, and you get your bristles nicely spread out, and that's certainly not just like a little bit like this. Was that on screen even? Internet, I don't need you right now. No, there are the bristles. This is even quite fairly good as long as this is a very cheap brush that I have used a lot, and it's about 5 years old, but I only use for this kind of work. And as always, the wash magic is doing his job. Look at those details popping out, and any little mistakes I made with where the colors are touching are also nicely gone. Good. I wanted to do a purple one. They are normally a little bit bigger. At least most, if you see them, they are a little bit bigger. But why not a smaller one? And I know Carol likes pink, so why not? Sorry, Peter likes pink, Carol likes purple. And why not use both? Now let's see. What do we have here? Carnival purple, wild violet. Oh no, I go for a little bit darker one. Twilight purple. What's that, some guys make me still here? My Warhammer hand. Is it happening as the person I was supposed to play? Sorry guys, I'm actually still here. My Warhammer isn't happening as the person I was supposed to play with doesn't feel. Ah, damn. Not too bad. But yeah, well, I hope this is also a little bit satisfying. At least I am using purple on a model, and for Pete, just in case, I only had 2 colors of orange. Okay, I am color deaf, so you know. I only had 2 colors of pink. I went to a convention and I found 3 more, although this one is a little bit more orange, but then it's salmon rose. They sold it as a pink. So I have a little bit, and you know what? Let's use the new one, the old rose, as it is a little bit more of a flashy color. Yeah, I mean, I am not color blind, but it's the same thing as with going left or going right. I know the difference, but my brain sometimes does that. It's quite funny if I am driving and my best friend is sitting next to me and telling me where I have to go. He never tells me to go left or right because he knows if I say him to go left, there's a 50% chance he will go right. So he always pounds go that way and go that way. Somehow I do know the difference, left, right, but and somehow I get lately a lot of colors completely mixed up when I know what color I mean, but I say a completely different color. And that's what one of those things that I mean with some people will think that I am socially a little bit awkward, strange. I say something that sounds in my head completely normal, and as soon as I say it, that was not what I was meaning to say. It is probably something because I know I am a very fast thinker. So probably my thoughts are already way ahead of me. And why I just called this color orange, I have no idea. So that's why I call it color deaf. I see colors perfectly, but and there are even some colleagues who have who know that I once said that and are still going with it. Roy, we need the red. Oh no, no, the red labels. Oh no, never mind. Here, this label I mean. Yeah, that's red. Oh, you did hear that? Yep. This time I did. So while the wash is drying, a little bit too. By the way, I have a fan running. I don't know if anybody is picking that up. If so, tell me. At least if it is bothering you, then will shut it down. It has cooled down at this moment, but we had today our first hot day in the Netherlands. At least I can feel it in my painting attic. It's a little bit sweaty without fan. But the sun is already going down. So after the stream I can at least open the window for a little bit of fresh air. So I will make the scales purple. As you see, and sorry, I have to say it was twilight purple. And I will make the belly side, if worms even have a belly side, a nicely fleshy pink. at first I wanted to paint some D&D models, as I am going to play D&D tomorrow. I still have a few models for players to paint, but as I've been busy with my paint rearranging all day, so I did not really feel like all that little stuff. To paint it right now, and I thought, it is Saturday, so it is monster or bust, and I am still planning on painting a bust on stream, but I will first do a little skin tone study with some smaller models. And so I thought, well, I have still a complete box full of all kinds of small monsters. So why not paint some of these? They are still monsters, so I keep my theme. I'm not doing very much with blending in this case, as there's a nice not a very subtle change from scales to probably the more softer fleshy parts underneath. Oh, and before I forget, for those who were expecting me to stream yesterday, I'm sorry that I did not cancel it beforehand, because I was planning on streaming, but probably I was a little bit too tired, and I woke up at 2 AM this morning, or this night. I fell asleep in my comfy chair, so I apologize for that. But for my you say, in my defense, it was the first time from no, the second time that I had to get up at 3 AM to get to work. So I was a little bit not tired from work, but just staying up that long. And I am an old guy, sorry, it just happens. Oh, and apart from the Bones 6 Kickstarter and the base boss Kickstarter, which are not really minis, but they have some really cool big bases. I've been to oh, by the way, I am wearing can you see the t-shirt? A Fix Too Far. That was the convention I went to. figs, short for figurines, miniatures, everything that has to do with miniatures or the miniature hobby. And I of course did buy some really great minis. Well, great. So I have and they do not add to my pile of grey, as they are not made out of grey plastic. Yay. But I even found some a Ukrainian company. I noticed that when I got home. They make scale models from the movies Lord of the Rings. Only, of course, not with the real names of Lord of the Rings. So they have war trolls instead of stone trolls. A fire demon, also for us known as the Balrog. Only they are scaled down to the 1:72 scale. So a normal human being would be like this. That's 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter scale. But as these are quite big monsters, so the Balrog is about this big, and the trolls are about this big. So I scored those. I have some real metal alien minis from the movie Aliens that I can use, that are the same scale. I have a game, board game from Aliens, which I can use those minis for. And just because they are metal, hey, yeah, why not? And I have some bought a game called Masters of the Universe Battlegrounds. So I have some Master of the Universe minis to paint in the future, somewhere, somehow. Woo! I was a little bit well, disappointed is not the right word, but I had hoped that you could play the game also solo, but to be honest, I did buy it mostly just for the minis, even though there are just 8 in them. Oh, and a lot of terrain pieces. So yes, I have something to paint again. So I'm going back to the stone worm. The black is a little bit too black, but still adds quite something to the mini. So I am going to use a, oops, no, wrong, never mind. It's a little bit too white and gray and black. So I am going to use a brown wash over the mini. And it does immediately also bring out the details even more. And gives a little bit more of a variation in color. Or should I say a little bit of depth? Because that is most of the time I always, when I started painting, and I saw a lot of, especially with people who use glazing and really thin paints. Yeah, you start with that color and then you go over with that color, and dry brush, again a little bit of this color. And why do you not just paint it brown if you want it brown? Yeah, but if you have 3 different layers of brown, you add something to the colors. Really? Oh, yeah, really. Because this is a completely different brown color than if I just had painted it gray. Good. There was somebody who said to me that he wanted to see a polar worm, so a snow worm. Very interesting. I already think that I have painted a month ago a troll. It's officially a fjord troll. And the gray was really great. Now I only have to know that's the purple. There we have it. The speed paint Grey Fjord Grey. Because yeah, well, it's as a polar, I think I will use a little bit of some grayish blue highlight later. But with this is a really, it looks almost indeed like a black wash, to be honest. But with a black wash, it was, how can I explain the difference? I think with a black wash, the white would still be quite white. And only in the really dark places, it would be really black. Well, this is indeed getting a more grayish color, which is of course the whole purpose of having a gray speed paint. This one has to dry, and you can of course now see there is still quite some difference. Nice. The brown wash still has to dry a little bit. It's because of the heat in this room. It is also quite moist. So I will give myself a little hydrate without caffeine. That is that one. So yeah, the purple one also is still not completely dry. So I will go to the Troglodytes. Why not? Now I purposely did one in we did one in white, and I painted this one black. I want to do this one in a nice bright greenish tone. And to be honest, I have heard of troglodytes, but somehow I always thought they were more of sea creatures. Just before the stream I had to Google them. Oh, okay, so they are not sea creatures. Troglodytes live in caverns in the mountains. So a bluish stone color would be very nice. So that's my whole blue range, and I think bearing blue, it's almost a gray, Let's do it a little bit Caspian blue. Let's see for the, because my blue colors, I do have quite some blue colors from Reaper, but not something like this. I'll have to shake it very rigorously. Let's see. Yeah, I will make it. One moment. Let's see the. Does have a nice six-pack, but it's mainly made out of scales, some sort. At least a lot of leathery, thick hide. I will paint it in one color. Yes, I did shake it very well. Good. A little bit of thinner. It is a little bit greenish blue, not, and a little bit dull blue. Would be much brighter color if I would use this on the white, of course. But I want this one to be a stone color. That's why I left this one black. So I can use a black wash and a more bluish gray highlight. And I think I will make the belly and chest a little bit lighter with the dry brushing. Otherwise you do get a little bit of a dull model. And of course they have claws, they have some horns or bones protruding. I will not do those also a bone color, but also make them a little bit lighter later. Just to get a little bit more color in the whole model. But in fact, if you want to do this model very quickly and on a very basic tabletop standard, after this give it a grayish dry brush. When that is done, give it a black wash. If you want it to be more bluish, you could give it maybe a blue wash, but I think a black wash, brown wash would also not be very bad. I think with a black wash it goes much better with this color palette. And after the wash is dry, give it a nice bluish, grayish dry brush again. And I'm talking about, let's see, this is okay, this is Arctic Blue, which is in my eyes just a gray. if you want to go more like a little bit, this is Space Wolf Gray, one of my favorite grays. Yes, Space Wolves are one of my favorite chapters in Warhammer 40k, but this is just a little bit more bluish. But of course you can add a little bit blue to this if you would like to use it as a dry brush color later on. So yeah, this. Guys, why aren't you all just drying? This one I wanted to do a really bright green, although I think that I will do the back a more darker green and the head and the underside of course a more brighter green. And let's take the two I have here. Dragon green is the darkest green I have, and I have alien blue as the lightest. Shakey shake. And shaky shake. And before I go further, I have just decided if I do that with this model, I will have to do it the same a little bit with this model. Now I have still a little bit of white on my palette. I add a little bit of the blue, the base color I used over here. Oops, that's a little bit too much. I don't want it to be too thin. Now this paint is still wet, so it will blend in a little bit. I'm not being too precise. In fact, I could have almost used white immediately on the model itself. Throat and the lower jaw. And there we already have a very nice, simple color variation. And oh, why not use it in the inside of the hands, or the claws, or whatever you want to call them. Those are normally also a little bit different. And there we already have a nice effect. Good. The dark green and the light, very, very bright light green. I will start with the darker one. Especially the top of the head, and the whole back, shoulders. Oops. Thin the paint a little bit too. Now, of course, if I would do this over a black undercoat, the color would be quite darker and dull. Which could be a really great possibility, but that's more of a color I would technique I would do, a color combination I would do when I, for example, paint orcs. They don't have very bright green skin color in my eyes as old-fashioned Warhammer player. I always have a little bit more of a very dark leathery skin color, so it's, if you use then this kind of still bright green color, it needs brighter color on a black undercoat. In my eyes, that looks a little bit more natural and could work perfectly on this model. Why not? I mean, it is a quite leathery guy. Need a little bit more. But I have decided for myself, I want this one to be nice and bright. So I use a white undercoat. Not really, as you see, normally I would, especially with details, I would paint in this way. But now I am just giving the whole model, in fact, the same color. There's not much you can do, especially with all the scales and everything, you can do really make it a fantastic looking model just by getting all the scales in a little bit of different kinds of green, so that you have a little bit of wet blending. Would look really great. But today I am a bit in a speed painting mood. I don't want to fuss too much about all the small details. Paint was a little bit too thin over here. See a little bit too much white coming through. That's the whole scales on the back. This looks completely nicely poisonous green. It's almost on the model, it's almost looking like a yellow. Especially at the edges, just blend a little bit of the darker green in. Also around the mouth and the jaw. Mouth, the jaw. Not too much, but just enough to get a little bit of that color variation. A little bit of a blend. Push it out a little bit. Oh. And one thing I always indeed hate about painting over white, if you forget certain areas, do not reach certain areas, they stick out like a big bonfire. Normally with black you can just say, it's a shadow, no problem, don't see that. But with white, but hey, the color will be a bit dulled down with a wash. And I am, as black would probably be too strong, I will be using a brown wash. Not completely sure about that, by the way. Brown is also, but it does need a wash. Good. Let's see, how are the worms? The speed paint, the polar worm is still needs to dry. Ah, we have the there is still one big, still a little bit of wet. Yeah, over here also. So also has to wait a little bit. Uh-oh, I think. The purple is still also a little bit glistening. I do see I have a few white spots on my pink. It's a nice time to touch those up. And I see a few white spots on my purple. And those damn hard to reach. Oh, I see a very big white over there. Can you see it? Nice white there, the nice white spot. Oh, and now I see. As I said. Oh my God! I just got new glasses. Come on. And that's often the problem with minis like this, kinds of worms that turn in all places, in all kinds of directions. A lot of time, and they have, if they are all smooth, no problem. You will see very quickly the parts you have missed. Oh, need to sit down a little bit different. Yes. Oh, I see. But hey, I believe Carol said it in her stream. No mistake or oversight can be fixed by touching it up. And I don't know what painter I saw something of last week. It was also box art painter. And it's not uncommon to really spend more time at fixing all those small little things than actually painting the whole model. So it's certainly not a shame for us not professional or semi-professional painters to do touch-up work. And now dry. Damn it. Turn it to all sides. Okay. Good. Right, sometimes it can take a couple of steps to touch something up, but there's nothing that can't be touched up. Yes. This one is almost dry, just like the rest. Uh-oh. Taking off a little bit of the pooled wash at the bottom. Of course, this was my gray worm, now a little bit more brownish, but when I give it another dry brush with the long beard gray, it will of course look more gray again. I will of course make sure that I paint the rocks it's coming out. I will paint them a different kind of gray, so they really stand out from each other. The spines I will probably make more of a bone color, just like the teeth. The maw, the inside of the maw, I will of course make a nice red pink. And they all need to dry. Oh, and as I said, I hate painting over white, especially when there is so much deep detail on a miniature that my brush does not always automatic reaches. Oh, here's a white spot on the nose. And still some white spots over here. Yeah. I know I have further no minis. Yeah, I have no minis. Yeah, right. These are some Elder minis that I converted. Some Demonets minis I have converted, but I still have to. Those minis are too much of a. Come on, I need something to paint. Oh well, then let's take some nice detailed. Where is the? Where are all my? Oh, they are all over there. Oh, too bad. Good. This is a mini for one of my fellow D&D players. He plays a. You will like this. You will like this Carol. A bard, a halfling bard with a riding dog. Which, by the way, oh, here are the handles. Okay, nice. Well, it's not exactly a riding dog, but I found the 3D. Let's go a little bit lower. There he is. I found this STL. It's part of another bard model, only a female halfling. It's a dog with a high hat that has a bird on it with a high hat. It was separate from the original model. Just add purple to the halfling bard and it will be perfect. Well, it's. I asked the player what kind of color and everything, and well, give it nice bright colors. And well, a purple jacket. But another purple than I have used for the worm. Why? Because I don't want to use it too much. You know what? I have blueberry, which is, it is a purple. At least it is sold in a set that says it has purple and reds in it. This is, by the way, one of the paints. I just said I was color deaf. Yeah, I bought this set with, I believe it were 6 or 8 colors. 4 reds and 4 purple. And I bought them for the purple. At least in my mind, I thought pink. So I have more pink. Okay. Still have no idea how my own brain works. So he is getting a purple jacket. A little bit of a smaller brush for that. And as he didn't define, well, here's even epaulets. Nice. Oh man. And again, painting over white. But then I did make this one white because I had to paint bright colors. And that means an undercoat of white. On this model I will not be using a wash. I will just rain, come up, start working. I will use layering for the highlights and shading. As you can see, he is sitting on a blob of orange putty. Well, it's not really putty, but sorry, orange tag. It came with my red grass. Are those red grass? No. Yeah, those are this from red grass. Handles. And it doesn't matter what color it is, as long as it does what it has to do, holding the model in place. But originally this model sat on a big crate that is about 4 times his size. And as we are going to use this one as a D&D model, I thought that would be a little bit too big. Luckily you had to print them both separately, which means he is just going to sit on a chair. And luckily I once bought a very big set from a Kickstarter from Mantic Games. It had a really lot of scenery stuff in it. Let's see, do we have it here? Yes. So I picked out a chair where he can sit on. He does have his own base, but that's over there with a flagstone base. This is okay. I would say a nice red scarf around the neck. So we need a nice red. Let's see, for the trousers. Yeah, green and purple do work good together. But I will go for a quite dark green in that case. I do have, let's just paint it up and see how it looks. I can always paint over it. On camera it's really a nice and bright white model. And if this is, I am a little bit afraid the green is a little bit too bright. But I can always tone it down a little bit with the layering highlights, just by adding a little bit of white to the highlights, and then that will dull the, make the color lighter, but also desaturated. I believe the correct wording is for it. Meaning you take a little bit of the color out of the paint. And yeah, well, this is also something my mind, even though this is a fantasy figure, my mind always wants some kind of realism. And a purple dye for a jacket, not really done, I guess. Well, I always compare fantasy Dungeons and Dragons always with the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, maybe, but Middle Ages. With a green, this bright green pants. My mind has something against that. It's at least not a color combination I like. I will let it dry. And then I will start layering with the green, so to dull it down a little bit. Yes, I will start with the scarf. How are the worms doing? Good. Oh, come on. Next time I will put the fan on my painting table. And I hope that everything dries a little bit faster. This one is dry, yes. And the speed paint, as far as I can see, is also dry. Good. Then, sorry, Mr. Hobbit. We are going to... Yes, it is again so dry that my paper for my wet palette is already drying up again. But yeah, hasn't been used for a month, so probably I need to add a little bit of water. We'll do that later. The troglodytes. This looks dry. And now I see another white coming through. And at the leg. Look at it at all angles. Did I really forget all those? That's better. By the way, if I apply the brown wash, probably all those little mist spots will not really be seen anymore. This darker part is completely dry. And so is the, it's still a little bit shiny. I will let it dry a little bit more. But I must say, I do like this color combination. Especially when I'm going to add some black wash and then a gray dry brush. But first of all, we had worms to do. We are going to do the Arctic worm first. So I am going to use, of course, the Arctic blue, but it's really more of a gray. So I am going to add a little bit of bright blue to it. This is the gray. Oh, let's add a little bit of sky blue. Just a little bit. A little bit. As always, the scale colors need to be shaken a little bit better than the Reaper colors. Yep. There's, by the way, for the scale colors, if you do not shake them well enough, you can immediately see that they are not good, because literally the medium and the pigments are already coming separately out of the bottle. First times that it happened to me, I just used it, and then you can try to paint with it whatever you want, even on the on your wet palette or whatever you use. If you think, I'll just mix them together, you have the wrong mixture anyway, has no use. So I'm taking a little bit of the blue and then the gray. Oh yeah, that's about the color I had in mind. I will of course use a complete white dry brush. That's still a little bit too much blue in the bristles. A little bit more of the. This is a real dry brush. So literally really take off a lot of paint, and I'll make the paint almost dry out on the bristles. This gives it a little bit. Okay, my music is stopping. Oh, not. It gives just a little bit of a bluish shimmer. As how especially with ice and everything, it has always a little bit more of a blue in it. Okay. Yep. My music is stopping. Why? Because it's a very old phone that I use for my music. And it sometimes just needs to be reset. Yes, close everything. I'm only using one program, but whatever. And why are you not charging? Whoops. Why? Okay. Your phone. And there we are again. Oops. Nice. Okay. Electronics. This dry brush is still a little bit wet. So now I'm going to use the Longbeard Gray. Let's see, the other one was also dry. Oh, a gray worm, yes. So I'm going to use the same gray for the Arctic worm. Especially just from top to bottom. So you get the more bluish color stays in the more than the shadowy parts. Bluish shadow. And the rest is a more gray color. And that is in fact our Arctic worm. Well, I still have a few details to go. And somehow I always have something like, wait, does this one have his eyes, by the way? Do they even have eyes? I guess they don't have eyes. Oops. I shouldn't have washed this brush right now. Then I will have to use my little quick dry brush method. A little bit of toilet paper. Or if you don't want to use that, you can use some kitchen towel, paper towel. So you take almost all the moist out. Take the gray. And the same as with the other worm, just dry brush from top to bottom without reaching the parts that does not receive light. And now you can also see that just adding a brown wash after just a almost gray dry brush. Oh, I have to go. They look some kind of similar, but this has a little bit of a nice brown glow over it, and there's a more bluish, grayish one, and that's exactly what I wanted, at least to get them both a little bit different in color. I'm still trying to figure out if they have eyes, but as they live underground, why should they? Normally I would make the eyes stand out by painting them red, but as I cannot find any eyes, I will not paint any eyes. So I hope that is not, no, it's just a flake of white paint. This also I also have to highlight. Yellow. I have a yellow dry brush. I do not know if it is. That's still good. Also a very old pot that is still good. So I could use that for that one. The brown. I need a little bit of a lighter brown. You know what? Yeah, I think that would be a nice choice. This one also back. I will use a little bit of ashen brown, more grayish brown. Up. I'm putting aside those two worms, as I will do the details a little bit similar. So I'm using the Ashen brown, which is quite thin. Yeah, let's use this brush. Let's see, we have nut brown for it. I still have a little bit of nut brown over here. I will add a little bit of the nut brown to it. Get it a little bit darker than just that grayish brown. And there we have the details again coming out very nicely. Now a little bit of pure ashen brown. Wipe it off very rigorously. And to give it a final highlight, I will not use white, but we have a really great dry paint called Terminator's Stone. That is, by the way, you can indeed use a lot for stonework, but also for skeletons. If you do not want to give them a complete white dry brush. And it is very popular, I must say, because I have been waiting quite some weeks to order some. With my the shop where I blue in it. No. Okay. The shop where I buy it, they have all the dry brush colors except Terminator Stone and Fraczetti White. So those are the really well used colors. And there we go, just like we normally do with white. Just a light dry brush from top to bottom. And if I make those spines and everything and the teeth more of a bone white, they will stand out a little bit more. This one is full. I fill my dry brush paper. Actually white. Sorry, you see, color depth, Terminator's Stone. Now let's see if we can get it how it looks when I use the Hexos Pale Sun. It is quite bright, I must say. And quite dry. It's almost a nice filler. Yeah, it's really, really dry. Indeed not doing that what I had hoped to. It is possible that it is indeed too thick. I do have some Games Workshop medium. And now we come to the part where, well, we have all kinds of mediums here. Yes, there we have it. The Lamia medium. I'll just add quite some drops, not too much. Leave it stand for a night because it's really a very, very thick paste. Oh, there we are. And at least shaking has absolutely no use. I will shake it in the morning, stir it in the morning. But we have our worm. Let's see what kinds of... Oh, wait a moment. Wait a moment. I have another new color. That is underhive egg, which is also a little bit bone greenish color. Why not just try it out? Ah, new pot. Ah. And oops, I did push that thing through again. No. Sometimes I do not know my own strength. Just to see the difference. This is almost very chalky dust. And this is at least still some thick paint consistency. And this is what we need as a dry brush paint. I do like it. I can use a little bit more, stronger on top. Yes, there we have it. Yep. So, money well spent. I have to remember this combination. Good. Now, we have the purple one. It is dry. I am going to give it a wash. Should I add the black wash? It would make at least the purple. Yeah, I'm going to use a black wash. And when I am right, yes, yeah, there was a little glistening still in the chest part. That's gone now, so this paint is dry too. And I wanted to give that one also a black wash. So a nice little bit of butter black. And yes, I am also using it over the pink. And I think I will, after this black wash, when it is dry, for the pink, as I want it to be a little bit more of a flashy color, I will use a second wash. In this case, a flesh wash. So it will turn a little bit more reddish skin tone like. And I must say, I always am still amazed about the washes from Games Workshop. They are still amazing. I mean, I have used the MSP washes, the Vallejo washes, especially the Vallejo washes. It was the first one that I bought that was not Games Workshop, and it was almost a paint. If I had used that one on this model, I would not even see the difference between the pink and the purple anymore. It was would have been completely black. Oh yes, we have another model to do. So that is still for Games Workshop. Those washes, how they get it so translucent, and others do not. I have no idea. There's a lot of height difference between in this whole model, and I need a little bit more black. I have even tried to make, just like a lot of other people, to make my own washes. But even those, you can try a lot, but how Games Workshop does it, no idea. But it's also, of course, part of how do you use them, especially for this kind of painting, just chugging a lot of wash over the whole model. Then you don't want to cover up too much. And there are some painters that use a paper towel or some use some paper towel or something to remove a little bit of it. That's quite a nice method, so to get a very quick highlight. Most of the time I don't do that. I just let this dry and then I give the highlights with the a little bit of extra dry brushing, heavy dry brush from top to bottom, and a lighter one in the more shadowy places. But damn, I'm very glad I used a lighter color for the chest. So for this one is also dry. I am going to use the Agrax Earthshade. What color was that? That is a black. What black did I use in that? Okay. And the keys brown and green fit a little bit better together than pure black. At least in my opinion. And I just realized something, that brown is not even on the color wheel. But I guess that's because brown is made out of quite some different colors. Oh, look at that chest. I'm proud of myself. And I have also noticed now that I'm quite... let's go a little bit deeper. Yay! There we have a model. It's not real. Now you can see it. That's the magic of a little bit of a wash. So those have to dry. meaning that I have some other worms still to do. Let's get those paints back. Oh God, where did I get all those paints from? This one over here. I hope so. Yes, it was. These are not so difficult. This one was over here. Also nice if you have rearranged everything. It's a nice memory exercise. Yes, we have 3 worms. I don't need those dry brushes right now. I want to do the bones bone color. Now I am thinking about the Arctic one. Let's not overcomplicate things. Now this paper I can throw away from my wet palette. Let's use a nice, let's see, creamy ivory, no skeleton bone. And I will highlight them later on with just a little bit of white. No, yeah, I forgot the mouth. I have to do the inside of the mouth. Oh, now better zoom out a little bit again. Oh, my camera got loose. Yeah. Yes, the inside of the mouth, I want to do a nice orangey red color. But to do that, I do need it to be almost white. So, there you go. More number 1. Thank you, Matthew Mercer, for giving us that great word. Well, or at least let me get to know that word. That's it. A little misprint on this mini. Those two teeth do have 2 holes in it. Looks almost like he is a poisonous snake. Or he hasn't seen a dentist lately, the last few years, from biting all those rocks. Probably. Sometimes, at least the last few months, I have totally forgotten how satisfying it can be to do just a few simple, easy paint jobs instead of trying to do as really elaborate work on everything. This is just good enough. We need to let Viking Pie know that if he needs different kinds of worms in the game, he can use them. Also, tomorrow we have our D&D session again. We were last time we were very quite close to a total party kill. I mean, luckily we had a bard who could heal, so our healer could be healed. But it was the first time we encountered some zombies. Sorry, some ghouls. At least undead dwarves. And yeah, we had some really great tactics. As we had beforehand, we were at a fortress in a mountain. And we did hear some scratching on the inside of the door, of the big doors. So we immediately had something, there's something in there that we will probably not be very friendly when we get in. So we put our cleric, our dwarven cleric, our druid, elven druids, and our halfling bard, they were in the entrance. There was a portcullis. Something. No, there was before you entered the doors. There was two buildings that were protruding out of the mountain. You had to go through them, past them to get to the doors. Yeah, we set them at the start of the building, and then my character, the half-orc ranger, and my brother, the half-orc barbarian, we were going to open the doors, hide behind the doors, let whatever came through the doors pass, so we could attack them from behind. Only, yeah, well, those ghouls had some ghouls had a little bit better perception than we had thought. And ghouls do have the nasty thing that I believe their claws are a little bit poisonous, with something that paralyzes people. I was the lucky first victim, and I stayed that way the whole battle. Just at the end I was capable of escaping the paralyzation. But anywho, we did win, we did survive, and that's where we start tomorrow. That looks already quite good. I will do the same with those. Mouths are already dry. So I am not going to use a real skin color for that. But I am using, where are you? Fire Giant Orange Speed Paint. I do see, yeah, this is a little bit too much pooling. I hope I can still It's a little bit too dark. Yeah. I should have noticed that a little bit earlier. I do have a little bit of coffee staining over there, but I hope with a little bit of dry brush nobody will notice it. Good. The Fire Giant Orange is a really great color for insides, the inside of mouths for animals. At least I like it. So a white undercoat. And there we have I have tried the flesh color they have, which is quite a good color, but for the inside of the mouth somehow, no, I like this Fire Giant Orange a little bit better. And the purple one still has to dry. My troglodytes still are wet, but are really nicely. Oh, this one has also a little bit of pooling, a little bit too much on the stomach there. Yeah, that was it. This one is good. So I have to paint something for the next few days. And his mouth is also dry, so I can immediately use the orange also on his mouth. Finished, at least the more. I have to do the teeth, and a little, I will just add a little bit of pure white on the tips of the skeleton bone. And then the mini is finished. And the teeth, I will of course do the teeth, as I said. Good. And on that point, I am going to end my stream. Well, I still have one. Okay, you have still 1.5 minutes. Thank you all for watching. Carol, thank you for your stream earlier. Really enjoyed it. Was a little bit of lurking, but I had literally to put everything together for my own stream. I hope you all have a great rest of the weekend, a great Sunday. Start the next week healthy, and well, you're welcome. And keep the paint flowing, keep the brushes sharp. Till next time, bye. And now something goes wrong. Yay!